I'm going to show you how to make the spout for the teapot and the handle now. So I have this slab that I've rolled out, put texture on, stretched it, cut it into a triangular formation, and I took the pony roller and I rolled this side and this side to make them thinner for where they're going to overlap. Take a scoring tool and score the two areas that are going to be overlapped, and then add slip to those areas. I'm using a very watery clay to join these with a very watery slip. We're going to roll this into a tube. And this clay is not quite plastic anymore. It's dried up a little bit, but I wouldn't really call it leather hard either. So it's kind of at that point where it can hold its own weight, but it's not really plastic. And it's not really leather hard, as I just mentioned. Okay, so now we have a little tube that we made. And I'm going to squeeze the seam. Just make sure it's well joined. And then I want to decide which side of my teapot I'm going to put the spout on. So I'm thinking that this side kind of looks good for a handle because it has this indentation. So my spout's going to go over here on this side. And you can bend it a little bit to get more of a spout shape. So maybe something like that. And then cut it at an angle. This is cut at an angle, and while I have it open here, I'm just going to press a little bit more to make sure that's well joined. The secret to these teapots, to make them survive and not crack all over the place, because they are being worked pretty quickly, and also in some places I can't put a reinforcement coil. It's hard to get a reinforcement coil inside this. So the secret is to dry them very slowly so you don't get cracking. So I'll be putting on that spout like that. So it's right on this side seam here. So what I'm going to do is just flare this part out a little bit so it accepts the side of the teapot better. And then I'm going to let it set up before I add it on. So something like that, or maybe I should do it a little bit higher. So in the event that I actually did use this to pour tea, I could fill the water up to this level of my teapot, because the level here is going to reflect how far you can fill it up over here. So I'm going to set this one to the side and let it get a little more firm before I add it onto my teapot. Now I'm going to work the handle so I can let it set up. I'm going to put the handle over here. Here's the slab I rolled out for the handle. Same thing. I stretched it out, applied texture, stretched it out, and I made these two parts a little bit thinner so that where they overlap, it's going to not be real chunky right there. Score the front of one side and the back of the other, right where they're overlapping. Add a little bit of watery slip to it. Score again so that you have a really strong seam, and then you're going to roll it. This is what I call a tube handle because you're rolling it into a tube. We want to size it up on the side of the teapot. Bring back the spout. We can kind of see our little picture. So that looks about right. We'll let this set up a little while too before we add it on. And so now let's talk about the lid that we're going to put on here. This is an uneven top right now, so you can do one of two things. If it's still soft enough, you can just roll over the top of it. And I prefer to do that because it just makes it a little stronger then in that area. But if it's not soft enough, what you can do is just take a Surefire file and file it down. Okay, so now to make the little top for it, I usually like to do pretty free-form little tops, little lids, and I like to think of them kind of like little hats. So here's a slab of clay. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. Cut it into more of a circular type shape. And then stretch it out again. Okay. And then cut it halfway. Overlap it. Like that. So I'm going to put something like that on it, but I got to score it to make sure it all stays together. Watery slip. And once we get this teapot all put together, once the parts dry up, probably be the next part of the video. So there's the part of the little lid that's going to go on like that. We want to put a little flange in it so it doesn't fly off the top of the teapot. We'll go back, I'll put reinforcement coils in the bottom of that, but we do want to put a little flange. So take a piece of clay, a little strap of clay. I have a lot of little leftover pieces, so I save all those so that I can use them for a flange or whatever I need to use them for later. And make a little tube out of this and make sure it goes easily in and out of the top of the teapot. And then once you get that, you're going to score and slip and put it together, put a little reinforcement coil, and we are going to add it into the bottom of the lid so that then it has a little flange. I'm not quite done with the top of the lid here. I like to put a little top knot on my teapot lids. So you could take a variety of shapes. Maybe something even just like that. Once this sets up, I'll add that to the top of it and then put that on the top of the teapot. So it's going to be, I guess, what we could call very whimsical type of teapot in the end. Once I get the spout and the handle on, we'll continue the video.